As a new wholesaler, the last thing you want to do is go head to head with your competition because the players in your market will eat you alive. The smarter move would be to find a way to work with them. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to successfully JV with other wholesalers on deals, including the paperwork you need to protect yourself. So get ready to learn how to partner with big wholesalers in your market coming up.
This video is brought to you by Flipster, the nation's #1 real estate software, with tools for finding, funding, and flipping houses. Check it out now at getflipster.com.
If you're new here to the channel, I'm Jerry Norton with flippingmastery.com, and this channel is all about ways to help you make money wholesaling and flipping real estate so you can live your dream life. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss new videos. As a new or aspiring wholesaler, it is critical you learn how to properly JV or partner with other wholesalers. This is often referred to as co-wholesaling. It's when two or more wholesalers collaborate on a single deal. Usually one wholesaler has the deal and the other wholesaler has the buyer, and they JV or partner on the transaction and split the wholesale fee. Now, in all of my years as a wholesaler, 16 years to be exact, I have mostly seen this done the wrong way. So before I show you how to do it the right way, let's make sure you're clear on how not to do it. What I see a lot of wholesalers do is they take other wholesalers' deals and then they mark them up and add their fees on top of the original wholesaler's price and then blast it out to their list of cash buyers. Now, this is referred to in the industry as a daisy chain. To make matters worse, these wholesalers don't disclose to their cash buyers that it's not even their deal, it's another wholesaler's deal. Now, this is maddening to me. As a cash buyer interested in a wholesale deal, I'll see the same deal from 5 different wholesalers on 5 different lists, and all of them marked it up, and I have no idea who actually has the contract with the seller and what the real price is. As a wholesaler, this is just terrible business and the fastest way to lose credibility with your cash buyers. I would never let another wholesaler market my deal without some very clear guidelines in place contractually, and I would never market another wholesaler's deal without the same. Now, let me explain the pitfalls to avoid and the right way to JV on a deal. But first, why would you? What are the benefits and when does it make sense to JV on deals with other wholesalers? Well, joint ventures provide a tremendous opportunity to leverage the value or the assets of other wholesalers. Now, if you're a new wholesaler, my advice in the beginning is to put 99% of your focus on acquisitions. Do everything in your power to find a good deal. Then, once you've got an executed contract with a seller, take that deal to a major player in your market. Now, the players have massive cash buyers lists, and they have built and cultivated these for years. These big wholesalers can take your deal to their buyers and get them sold. And although it's completely negotiable, it's customary to split the wholesale fee 50-50. That means if you find a deal and you get the contract for, let's say, $150,000, and you JV with another wholesaler who brings a buyer for $170,000, the $20,000 wholesale fee would be split $10,000 for you and $10,000 for the other wholesaler who brought the buyer. Now, the downside of partnering with another wholesaler is splitting the wholesale fee, so your long-term plan should be to build your own list of cash buyers eventually, but that's something you can do as you go along the way. In the beginning, when more than anything you need traction and experience, partnering with other wholesalers on dispositions allows you to not worry about cash buyers and not worry about dispositions, and instead put all of your focus just on finding and getting good deals. Now, to JV with another wholesaler, don't do what most amateurs do and offer your deal to multiple wholesalers with a verbal agreement that if and when they bring a buyer, you'll split profits. That is the fastest way to get your deal daisy chained, and legit cash buyers like me will blacklist your deal and want nothing to do with it. Instead, what I do and recommend is you choose one wholesaler to work with. Most pro wholesalers will require an exclusive agreement anyways because they don't want to be discredited either for the reasons I just explained, or waste their time marketing your deal to their cash buyers when others are doing the same. For that reason, get your JV agreement in writing. And because no one, and I mean no one, gives away more free tools and resources than me, I'll give you my JV agreement for free. Just leave a comment and say, Jerry, you are a flipping genius. Please share with me your free JV agreement, and I'll give you the download link. But doing a JV deal isn't just for new wholesalers who don't have a buyer's list yet. Even experienced wholesalers JV on deals all the time. A great example is when a wholesaler's cash buyer comes forward and says he's looking for a specific deal and he's ready to buy, but you don't currently have a deal for him. So you reach out to another wholesaler who does, and you agree to JV and bring his deal to your buyer. And this is actually a common occurrence and needs handled differently than a standard JV agreement. Let me explain using an example. Let's say that an established wholesaler in town who does on average 5 deals a month has one of his regular cash buyers call him up and say, hey, I'm looking for my next fix and flip deal and I want a high-end deal with an ARV of $1 million to $1.5 million in Scottsdale, Arizona. Got anything right now? Now let's say that this cash buyer's wholesaler doesn't have anything that fits that criteria right now. What he could do is tell the cash buyer that he's got some connections and he'll get back to him. Then he reaches out to other wholesalers to see if they have a deal that fits the cash buyer's criteria. And let's say that he finds another wholesaler that has a deal with an ARV of $1.3 million in Scottsdale that would be a good deal for his cash buyer. The best way to handle this scenario is for the two wholesalers to JV together and split profits. But let's do it a little differently. By now, I hope you've learned the value of getting everything in writing. So a good way to handle this scenario is for the wholesaler with the cash buyer and the wholesaler with the deal to agree to and sign what's called a non-disclosure and non-circumvention agreement, or for short, NDNCA. In its simplest terms, in this situation, a NDNCA prevents the wholesaler with the deal from stealing the other wholesaler's cash buyer, and it also prevents the wholesaler with the cash buyer from stealing the wholesaler's deal. It's basically saying, I'll share my cash buyer with you, and you share your deal with me, and neither one of us will go around the other. The NDNCA would need to be signed before the deal or the cash buyer is shared. And I bet you saw it coming, but you guessed it, I'll share my NDNCA agreement with you for free. Just click the link in the description box below for that download link. And stick around and I'll go over that in a minute. There's another situation where I found that the NDNCA to be really helpful when wholesaling, and that's when you've got a good lead with a motivated seller and you also know a cash buyer who would be interested in the deal, and rather than getting the contract and assigning it, you execute a NDNCA and you let the cash buyer negotiate directly with the seller. Now let me give you an example to clarify. Recently, a wholesaler came to me with a lead on a high-end home that was really tricky. It was a new construction home that was partially finished and still at the drywall phase. Now there was a lot of things I needed to figure out, and the only way I would have been able to make the deal work was to be able to communicate directly with the seller. So me and the wholesaler signed an NDNCA. This protected the wholesaler and allowed me to work directly with the seller. In that case, the wholesaler wanted $5,000 if I was able to make the deal happen, which I was able to negotiate and agree on a price with the seller, and it all worked out. Just like in that scenario, you may find yourself in a situation where it makes more sense to let your cash buyer communicate and negotiate and work directly with the seller, and the NDNCA protects you. Okay, real quick, let's take a look at my NDNCA. I'm a big fan of keeping things simple, so my agreement is just one page. Now, I'm not going to read all of this, but let me give you the high level of what it covers. My NDNCA covers 5 major points. Number 1 basically says we both agree not to cut each other out of the deal. Number 2 here says we both agree not to share with anyone else important information. Number 3 says if either party violates the agreement, you have to compensate the other for the damages. Number 4 says this agreement is good for 5 years. And number 5 basically says this agreement is binding. So if you want this for free, again, I'll put a free download link in the description box for you, and you can add this to your repertoire of tools. Now, working with other wholesalers is a really important strategy to learn and do successfully. For that reason, be sure to watch this next video where I show you 5 rules to follow when doing a JV with another wholesaler, as well as 21 important questions to review and decide with your JV partner. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel with over 500 videos. This is the #1 channel on YouTube for all things wholesaling and flipping. Do that now, and I'll see you on the next video.